this soft girl life, the way some of y'all are talking about it, you're going to be broke as you know what. All right. And you just are. What do you think? Like,
oh yeah, because that's why I was like, I have to cancel it because I don't even know if I can afford soft girl life anymore. I'm like, I spent like $400,000 to live my soft girl life, like delegating everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, and welcome to another edition of Full Transparency with Donni Wiggins. I am super excited to be here, you guys. I have one of my sisters in this entrepreneur space with me. And before I introduce you, I got to tell y'all, we have all the girl talk, all the conversations about business and relationships and why we're not doing this and how we should be doing that. And without further ado, I want to welcome my sister in business, Miss Maya Elious.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
I am so excited to have you here. Yes. This is a long time coming.
It has been. It has been.
Yeah, we've talked about doing so many things over the years.
Yep.
And this is like our first thing.
I know.
In fact, Maya, we're supposed to be like collaborating in business together this year.
I know. Mm-hmm. We are. You know, the first collaboration I want to do, it's not business. I just want to make sure our trip to the Bahamas is planned.
Are we doing that?
Yeah, we're definitely doing it.
When are we doing that?
We already set the dates. It should be in your calendar. We don't have a place yet. We just know Bahamas after Impact Weekend.
So that is what we said. Yeah. I am so bad that I don't know the dates off the top of my head, and we definitely need to talk about that after this to make sure we're solidified with it. But anyway, so on Full Transparency, we like to just have really dope, authentic conversations. Like, let's just pretend like we're at lunch or dinner, like we do, and get straight to it.
All righty.
So how's business?
Business is going well. I feel like I'm getting excited about business again. Mm-hmm. I felt like I was kind of in this season, like, what am I doing? What should I be doing? And I think it's really just because I wasn't coaching, because I closed down my coaching programs at the end of the year for like the holidays and stuff. And then I'm like, well, obviously, if you run a coaching business and you're not coaching, you're going to feel a little bit lost. Yeah. So now that we're taking on clients again, Impact Weekend is full, I feel like finally getting back into my groove.
So I experienced a very similar thing last year. Mm-hmm. I cut off all of my direct coaching offers because I let the world tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I let everybody tell me, girl, you're not going to scale your business that way. You need to be duplicating yourself, group this, group that. And don't get me wrong, I do still love the group concept very much. Yeah. I don't know if you're like me, though. I get a thrill. Like, there's a rush for me. There's an extreme difference in working with somebody in a one-on-one capacity and just being all up in their business.
Yeah, with the right people, I really do love one-on-one because I get to be in my zone of genius, which I love. They're asking me the right questions. They're brilliant. Like, it's really fun to do. Like, it feels collaborative.
Yeah, that's what I was missing. So on one episode, obviously you guys know that I'm also the co-host on the Social Proof podcast. And on an episode not too long ago, I was sharing with Dave that I was in this inexplainable state of depression, right? And last year should have been one of the most joyful moments of my life, and I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I could come up with was that I cut off the extension of my business that I actually enjoy the most.
Yeah.
Like, if we're being fully transparent, I don't give a damn if that part of the business can't scale or can scale, and you can scale it, right? I don't care about that part.
Right.
I have selectively reserved just space for a very limited number of hand-picked clientele that I just want to work with and be challenged by. What do you think?
I love that. Yeah, I think it's like there can be parts of your business that are scalable, and then other parts where it's like, the purpose of this is for me to feel fulfilled. Yeah. Like, I don't have to worry about the money and all of that. So I love that you're doing that, because I can think about a handful of clients that I worked with and my mind wasn't on, how do I get this to 100 clients? You know what I mean? It's just like, I love this. And then the 100 clients that I am working with my other coaches, they're still served and I still enjoy it. But there's one part that I can at least have for myself.
Yeah, I think it's an important message, a responsible message to share.
Yeah.
To make sure that when you're building your business, there's a component of your business still inside of it that you really, really love.
Yes.
There's so many people right now that's just like hustling for the money. Tell me what you're thinking.
Yeah. Because I wrote a post about this when I was talking about like being a 7-figure CEO. And I'm like, you know what? I'm really new to this. Like, I'm not true to this. I'm new. I don't know what I'm doing. And I think we talked about this over dinner when we were both in Charlotte. But I was saying, I think I delegated too many things, and I delegated a lot of the things that actually brought me joy. And in my mind, you know, I thought I was doing the right thing. Like, I should be doing what a CEO does, and I should be delegating all these other things. And then I'm like, I'm bored. I'm so bored.
What does a day in your life? So first of all, tell us a little bit about what you do. And then I want you to tell me, like, no, seriously, Maya is a multi-7-figure business owner, right? She's killing it. But I think about how I spend my days, and I just want to know how you're spending your days, because have you ever dealt with just like a little momentary bit of guilt? Like, God, I'm really making all this money, and this is what I'm doing with my time.
No, I don't feel the guilt, but
I don't feel the guilt. Guilt is not the feeling that I feel right now.
But I think I feel almost amused, because it's like when people ask how I spend my day, I think people are looking for the generic, like, successful entrepreneur response, right? Like, I wake up at 5 a.m., I go to the gym, I work out for 2 hours, I come back, I journal, I do all of these things. And I have seasons where I am like really disciplined and stuff, but it's like sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh, well, what should I do today? And I'm pretty low maintenance. So I don't think like, oh, I need to do this or I have to do this.
Yeah.
I think day to day, sometimes it's very different.
Yeah.
And it also depends on the season. So, you know, I want to get back into being more disciplined, because it is starting to get boring, just not really having.
So boring.
Yeah. And we were talking about this. I'm like, I'm canceling my soft girl era. It was very cute while it lasted, but it's canceled. It's done.
Soft girl era is canceled. Now, before I co-sign, I have to know what that means exactly, because we're in this space. We're in this really, really weird space.
Yeah.
And I feel a couple of ways about it, right? Yeah. One, we have this soft girl versus, I guess if you're not a soft girl, you think you're a boss chick, is the way that it's being portrayed. Or
like I think people are trying to escape being an independent
woman. And then it's if you're not feminine, you're masculine.
Right.
We're just, there's a part of me that feels like we're in the middle of a gender war almost, right? And people are being made to feel really bad about working hard. So I have my thoughts about it, but tell me about this soft girl era of yours.
Yeah. So for me, I felt like with my soft girl era, I did whatever just made me feel good, right? Which I think is important in some cases, but I think there does have to be a consideration of like, you do things that you don't feel good in the process, but you're doing it for, you know, a better end result.
Yeah.
For me, it was just kind of like, I'm not really going to do a lot of work if I don't feel like it. I'm not going to take on as many clients because I'm over the client work. I'm not going to wake up at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And just all of these things. And it was funny because I was talking to my therapist about it, and I'm like, I feel like I didn't really do that much this year. And she was like, but you did. You were in a season of healing. And I think the soft girl era is important for people that are like, I need to like regulate my anxiety and my emotions and all of that. And, you know, you talked about going through depression. And so we talked about being bored and, you know, overdoing our soft life maybe. But I think it was necessary for the seasons that we were in.
We overdid the soft girl stuff. You did for sure.
I definitely did.
Because you withdrew from everything.
I did. Yeah.
In full transparency. You just got back in the gym after like 5 months.
Right.
That was group chat conversation. I don't know if I was supposed to share that part. That was group chat conversation, but you did just get back
in the gym.
You're back in the gym, but you look good.
Oh, thanks.
You still fine AF.
You know, I try to do what I can. You know, I was working out, but there's nothing like having your trainer that just kicks your butt. So shout out to my trainer, Antonio. But yeah, I'm back in the gym. I had to wake up at 6 a.m. to make sure I made it to my 7 a.m. workout. And I'm like, before that, I was waking up at 7:30, maybe 8 o'clock. And when I would try to wake up earlier, it was so hard. I'm like, I can't believe I used to do this. I would wake up and get my protein shake and go work out, be on the freaking Stairmaster, which I think think is like the hardest thing? You be on there.
You just gave me a flashback. I be killing the Stairmaster for like a whole 12 minutes. That's all I have really. Like that Stairmaster is no joke.
No, it's no joke. 12 minutes is a lot.
12 minutes is a lot, and I'm on like a pretty fast speed. But you just gave me a flashback. I remember you used to do these videos. You would wake up and you would like take Instagram through your house. You wake up, show your robe, you show yourself walking down the stairs, you show your dog Max. Yeah. Is his name Max? Yep. Show yourself getting ready for your workout, making your protein shake. You're completely out of that right now.
I'm out of it. And people have said like, I miss it. They were like, I miss you actually doing shit with your life. Yeah, they're like, I miss the, the home walkthroughs and stuff. So I think I'll get back into that. I think it makes people feel like, encouraged to have their own routine and to, I guess, almost romanticize their life, which is what I think I was doing when I did have a routine. So I think I want to get back on that.
But was it authentic?
It was, because I love my space. Like, even like one of my favorite things to do is just sit on my couch and watch TV and just like be at peace. I think I enjoy it that much more because I see my sister and, she has her husband and her 3 kids, which I think is so beautiful, but there's really not that much quiet time. And so when I kind of like compare and contrast our lives, I'm like, I love this quiet time. I love that this is my house. I love that I can set the temperature to whatever I want it. If I want the blinds closed, they're closed. If I want it open, they're open. So
do you share your space well?
Oh, I think I do share my space well. But I'm very low maintenance. So I like low maintenance friendships. Like I like my friends that come over and like, Abu will come over and he'll be sitting at the table and I'm sitting on the couch. Or my friends Kara and Khalil came over and they like took a nap on my couch while I was doing whatever in my kitchen.
Are we friends?
Me and you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you haven't been over though.
Gotten an invite to come to the house.
You can always come over.
I'm trying to pull up, okay?
Pull up. We can
I look for friends. Like I am in a season. So let me talk about my soft girl era just a little bit. So I am in this season where I too require, I don't even desire, but I require low maintenance friendships. Like I need you to know that I love you so much, even if you don't hear from me all month, right? My friends are starting to get really in tune with my personality quirks, especially as an entrepreneur. And I've had to make some explanations. Like I am not Donni who had a consistent schedule, 9 to 5. This is what I do. And when I'm off, I'm off. I don't ever feel off, right? Even in soft girl. But let me kind of tell you what soft girl kind of felt like to me. And I like the perspective that you gave. The way that I see it, or I saw it originally, is the way that you see it now.
Yeah.
But it's the posts that are online that it's like, I'm not working hard anymore. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I'm just kind of living in my soft girl era. And I just kind of feel like it's slightly disrespectful. I feel like as women, as human beings, but as women, we are naturally soft women, right? There are some women who are just not, but we're naturally made strong. There's nothing that you can do great in this world that you don't have to be tough for, right? So we have children. We bear the children. You absolutely have to be strong for that.
Yeah.
When you are in a significant and committed relationship, even if you are being fully provided for and you are a soft life stay-at-home mom, there is a level of strength that is required to play that supportive role, right? In all areas, I believe that there is a place for strength. And to kind of like denounce strength. People are saying, no longer call me strong Black woman. Why? What do you mean, right? Strength is required to get through this life. The opposite of strong is weak. I'm not weak. The opposite of strong is not soft.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. I mean, I think, since the phrasing is like, soft girl era, I think it is like when I think of era, I do think of like a season. And I think everybody has their season where they're like, I gave you children. I did the cooking. I did the cleaning. I worked the 9 to 5. I was underappreciated. Like F all of y'all. Everybody should be serving me now. So I can understand it. I think it's like, we do have to understand that it's seasons. It's definitely seasons, and it can't just be a constant.
Because let me just tell you, this soft girl life, the way some of y'all are talking about it, you're gonna be broke as you know what. All right. And you just are. What do you think? Like,
oh yeah, because that's why I was like, I have to cancel it because I don't even know if I can afford soft girl life anymore. I'm like, I spent like $400,000 to live my soft girl life, like delegating everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is going to, and not to confuse what should be happening. Like, in your life, there shall be enjoyable moments, enjoyable moments for sure. And I believe those moments should come every single day. Mm-hmm. I believe that there's a healthy mix of strength and softness that's required to live a complete and balanced life.
Yeah.
And let's look for that, not look for, because now, and then here's the other thing. So you're single? Mm-hmm. Okay. We're both single women, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that you'll hear or you'll see online from these relationship gurus, like everybody can start a podcast. Everybody can start a podcast and become a guru of some sort, right? Uh-huh. But you hear now these relationship gurus who say, who are committed to telling us what kind of woman they don't want. Nobody wants a woman who's a boss, and nobody wants this successful woman. No man cares about your accolades. I don't really know that men care a whole lot about your accolades more than they do feeling needed and respected.
100%. 1,000,000% agree.
But the men that are in my circle, they appreciate an accolade or two, right? Yeah. They are appreciating some accolades. They don't care that you're wealthy, none of that stuff. But the point that I want to make is that if I had gotten married in my 20s, it would look very different for me today.
Yeah.
And the reason that I think we are both here right now is out of necessity. Like, what do you do otherwise? Do we just sit there and live a very, very mediocre lifestyle? Like, what am I supposed to do?
Right. Imagine we've been living like soft life since our 20s.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, it's like, I got to do some stuff for myself. And I feel really proud of the hard work that I've done. So, you know, how you were saying some people kind of think maybe soft life is denouncing the hard work. Like, the hard work, it sounds very cliche, but the hard work is what develops you, develops your character. Like, I know so much about myself because of the challenging things that I put myself through. And that's why, like, for me, I'm like, I can't anymore. Like, I have not challenged myself in the way that I need to. And that's why I feel, you know, sometimes like lost and confused because I'm like, what am I doing? I think for me, like, I've proved to myself that I can make money. I proved to myself that I can hire. I proved to myself that I can work on being a better leader. It's like, okay, but what else? I have to consistently challenge myself to continue learning about myself and grow and feel a sense of fulfillment.
What's something profound that you believe you learned about yourself in the last year? Hey, you guys, it's your girl, Donni Wiggins, co-host of the Social Proof Podcast. And did you know that we had a members-only exclusive community? Yes, you are able to access David and I on a monthly basis for live Q&A. You are also able to get our episodes before it drops to the general public. You will also get exclusive discounts on our merch. Take a look. And not only that, you're going to get the behind the scenes footage of what it looks like on Social Proof. I'm talking about our bloopers, David and I as CEOs operating our business. You'll even get behind the scenes of some of our successful friends. And you get access to this from $5 to $40. You choose your membership access, general admission, family admission, or VIP. We cannot wait to see you on the inside. Click the link in either my bio, the bio of the Social Proof Podcast Instagram page, or go over to David's page, Sleep is for Suckers, and hit the bio there. Any way you access it, access it. We'll see you on the inside.
Ooh, that's a good question. Let me go back to my therapy notes. First of all, thank God for therapy. I've been doing it consistently for, I think, maybe like 16 months now.
Yeah.
Learning about like a fear of rejection. That's been very interesting. Learning a lot about myself as a people pleaser and how that can make me not a good leader and not even a good coach, right? You know, I think one of my love languages is words of affirmation. So I always want to pour into people. I love encouraging women, and I think that's why my brand is the way that it is, encouraging women, but I also have to find this balance of I can't always prioritize people's feelings because I also need to prioritize their future. And when I'm prioritizing their feelings and when, you know, telling them what they want to hear, that could be a detriment to their future because I need to tell them what they need to know to better their future.
Yeah. So in this space of business coaching, you're one of the only other women that I tell you all the time, like when my team gets sales calls in, sometimes I'll see your name pop up. Like, have you ever had business coaching, or are you looking at any other coach? And your name will pop up. But I think what you and I have in common is that ability to just be really direct, very direct, but in a very nurturing and loving way, because there's so many people out there that will just kind of tell you what you want to hear. They're more concerned about your feelings, like you said, and we're really focused on future. How do you feel? How do you think your clients feel about? Do you ever tell them like, I can't care about your feelings today. This is about your future.
I don't say that or preface my advice with that. I think they just know. And I think that's where like having consistent content comes into play. Like they can kind of tell my personality before hiring me. So yeah. And I think it's with everybody. It's like, it might not feel good in the moment, but if you are a person who prioritizes getting better, you can get over that. And you're going to appreciate getting the truth. And so I think like, you know, something that I've wanted to also prioritize is prioritize being kind over prioritizing being nice. And to me, niceness is about people pleasing, is about seeming nice and saying the right things. And kindness is about being honest. And it's like, I'm going to be kind to you. I'm going to tell you the truth and I'm going to deliver it in love. But when you're kind, you're being honest and you're telling people what they need to hear.
I like that. Have you always been that person?
No, not at all.
No?
I've prioritized that more with, I'd say, the last 1 or 2 years.
What made you make that a priority?
Because I realized that being nice and being a people pleaser is dishonest. Because again, like I used to, anything that I would say to somebody, I would prioritize what sounds good and what will make them feel good versus what is the truth. And I recognized like I'm not being honest, and I saw how damaging that was to my relationships. I saw how damaging it was my like romantic relationships with my clients, relationships with people that I really care about. And I'm like, I gotta be honest with the people that I love.
Yeah. Being honest with people is necessary, but it's not always easy.
Yeah. That's something I learned from you though. Like you are very honest, and it makes me laugh because you're just so hilarious, especially with your delivery. Like even before this, like giving you the protein shake, you're like, this is terrible.
This is awful. Y'all, before we started, I'm over here. I'm like fresh off of a fast. I've just been eating now for like 2 days, right? So my stomach is I went 7 days without any food, just all juice and water. My stomach, I guess, maybe has shrunk, and I'm only able to eat like a piece of a meal a day.
Yeah.
And so before we get started, I'm like, oh my God, the level of hunger that I'm experiencing is next level. And Maya's like, oh, have some of my half-drank protein shake.
I didn't know I drank some of it.
And I taste it, and she's like, how is it? Is it delicious? I'm like, this is terrible.
That's so funny.
It tastes terrible, but I finished every single drop of it because I was so hungry. And she's like, well, what do you normally have in your protein shakes? I'm like, actual ingredients.
Actual ingredients.
Actual
Listen,
ingredients.
Me and my little powdered protein, we good over
We're
here.
going to upgrade your protein.
Thanks.
Because we're getting ready for, we talked, was it at the very beginning of this year in Charlotte or at the end of last year?
What?
That we were in Charlotte together.
That was the end of last year.
Okay, so at the end of last year, you guys, we were in Charlotte together. Maya, myself, and a few other entrepreneurs got together, and we decided that this year is our $5 million year. This is our $5 million year, but it's not really about selling products or services to get to that $5 million, right? I learned that in the journey to $1 million.
Yeah.
It's not really about the products and services. What happens is there has to be some type of shift that you're willing to experience or put yourself through. And this shift has more to do with discipline than anything else. There's definitely a test of discipline.
Absolutely.
Which was a part of my fast. My fast was a spiritual fast. But your girl, you guys, has me running a 5K through somebody's mud.
Oh my gosh.
We're doing the, what's it called?
Tough Mudder.
We're doing the Tough Mudder race.
Yes.
Why are we doing this?
We are doing this to challenge ourselves. So, as I mentioned, I love sitting on my couch and watching TV. And I have been binge watching this show called The Challenge. It's 38 seasons. It's one of, I think, MTV's longest running reality shows. And so it's a competition show. And I'm seeing all of these people do these physical things. And I'm sitting on my couch judging these people. Like, oh, you could have ran that extra mile. You could have done this. And it's like, girl. You ain't even seen your trainer in 4 months. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a runner again. That was like one of my New Year's resolutions. And then I met up with one of my friends and she's like, I'm going to do Tough Mudder. And I just told you about it. Actually, it was Kyle because he's a runner.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're all doing Tough Mudder.
Well, Kyle, for clarity, runs marathons. And I am way out of my league. I can barely run 3 miles on the treadmill.
That's different. I feel like it's harder on the treadmill.
I don't know.
Outside, you're getting like a breeze. You can go downhill. You'll do a little bit of uphill. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be great.
You see the excitement on
know.
my face right now?
I'm so excited.
But I accepted the challenge. Like, I am going to finish the race. I think they give us 45 minutes to complete this I think it ends up being 3 miles.
Yep, 3.1 miles.
3.1 miles. They give us 45 minutes. I don't know that I am physically fit for it. I work out, but what I have learned about working out is like weight training is not endurance training. So now this month we are incorporating some endurance training, a whole lot more cardio. I stayed away from cardio because I felt like it just dropped my weight significantly. But in order to not be completely embarrassed when we do this run, I'm going to have to step it up. But I took the challenge because when you're believing something so big, I feel like you have to make equally big sacrifices.
Yeah.
And this is like I hate running.
Really?
What?
I think you're going to kill it.
Oh, I'm going to kill it.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill it.
Yeah.
I am. I'm telling myself that in real time as we speak because yesterday, I think I just registered for it. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, we all registered yesterday. You're going to make $1 million per kilometer.
Ooh!
Yes.
Say that. $1 million per kilometer. I'm loving it. So what are you doing differently this year to hit that $5 million mark? So where are we going from, if you don't mind sharing that? We're going from what mark to the $5 million mark?
From 1 to 2, back to 1, up to 5.
Okay, so we're from 1 to 2. So just for clarity, this is what she's done over the years. 1 to 2, back to 1, soft girl. Yep. And now we're going, there really is a consequence.
There is a consequence. You know what? I didn't profit in revenue from the previous year, but I profited in time.
Okay.
So, you know, it was
important.
worth it, whatever. Yeah. But now I'm like, I want the money as well.
I want the money. Like, we'll figure out what to do in time once we get the money. Like, we can figure things
I mean, the soft girl era is going to come back.
It's going to
come back.
She's
just taking a little break.
It's just a very, very small break.
Yeah.
I really want you to commit to a soft moment of every day.
For sure.
Every single day having a soft moment.
Yes, I can definitely do that.
Yeah. I want to talk about what that looks like for you. But before we do that, what are you doing differently to go from 1 to 5?
Actually, so going back to discipline, I think just waking up, reading more physical books, reading more audio books. It's not like, oh, reading more books automatically makes you rich. It's just being intentional about stretching yourself. And, you know, one of the things that I also learned is, you know, a lot of the things that try to take me out previously, it's because I just wasn't prepared for it. It's like, was it really that bad, or were you just not mentally prepared for it? You know? So I think just mentally preparing myself, getting back to journaling, prayer, all of that, and selling things that I'm very excited about. It's not that I wasn't excited about my previous offers. It's just that Because again, I had delegated so many of the things I was excited about. I was like, whatever, I'll do the sales call or delegate somebody else doing the sales call. So I think as a practical thing, I'll be doing more of my own sales and going back to selling more expensive things. I think I went from selling $10,000 to $20,000 offers to then 5 and 10. And I was like, why did I do that?
Wow.
We're going back.
We're going
back up. So
I we were talking about that a month ago when we had dinner in Charlotte, and I too am getting back on the phone, and it's not even out of necessity. Not financially. Right. But I need stuff to do. So I have my season. So like this week, next week, I'm slammed. I'm super busy. So there is no room for sales calls on my calendar. But there are just things that I love to do and talking to people, because a sales call is not just a sales call. You're actually learning about people and their needs. Yeah. And if you do sales calls in your business, it's a great place to do market research. So you understand what you should be creating or what you should be laying off of. And it's that stage of like being it's the learning stage for me. Yeah. That's so freaking exciting. So I'm going to be back on those calls.
Yeah. But I need everybody to catch this, y'all. Okay. We have built 7-figure companies and we still desire to get on sales calls to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
To learn. And there are people that are 6 months in business and they're trying to quickly scale and avoid sales calls. Listen. Stop trying to avoid the things that's going to make you better.
So whenever you book a call with my team, you have to fill out an application, right? Yep. And I'll occasionally go and look at those applications, and I'll see you guys like put your Instagram and your website. Yep. And it on that application, it asks you what you believe your coaching needs are, what you believe your coaching needs are, because 90% of the time what your coaching needs actually aren't what you believe your coaching needs are. So it'll ask that, and everybody is saying, SOPs and automation and delegation. And I'm looking at your website.
You're not ready.
We're not ready. I'm looking at your social media. There's no consistency. You have to actually earn the ability to delegate and automate and systematize. One thing that I know that I did, you and I probably both, I don't know that I delegated too quickly in my business. I think I was a DIYer for far too long. In my business, I did everything. Like literally up until 2020. I pretty much did everything, right? Yeah. And in terms of this coaching space, I've been here full time since 2014, but since 2012. Yeah. So I think I paid my dues on the DIY. But what happened was, once your girl learned like automation, it was a totally different story. Yeah. And so what ended up happening was I started to automate everything in my business, and then I ran out of things for my team to do. Right. And it's like I'm paying people I have nothing for you to do.
So many entrepreneurs went through that this year. One of my friends, 5 million, she's like, I had to kind of downsize my team. Another friend, 8 million, she's like, I had to downsize my team. Like, what are y'all doing? Yeah. And I mean, that's obviously our responsibility. We're the ones who hire them, thinking they would have stuff to do. And
at the time, I had stuff for you to do.
Yeah, I know.
But like,
the systems got too damn good.
The systems got so freaking good. Yeah, yeah. And I want to. So my longest term employee that I have working for me now is going into his 3rd year working with me. And what are we doing? For real? Because I have automated your entire job. But what that means is, to me, because I have a very small team, there's only 4 of us, right? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. Yeah. I just brought someone else on. There's 5 of us, and I want it that way. So ultimately, my big picture thinking, I don't believe I need more than 10 people at the biggest that I want to build my business. Maybe some people who are working in project format or, things like that. But I feel like I can really get done what I need to get done with a team of 10. Yeah. Right now, we're really great at 5. On my visual for 2023, I didn't really do a vision board, so I won't say that, but I did write out all of everything, and I did say that I needed 6 team members, right? Okay. I don't feel like I need to downsize my team because there's only 5. I feel like I need to create more. And so people will have more to do. I feel like I am overlooking the obvious work that I need to do next to kind of bring more business and more responsibilities into the company. So he and others will have something to do.
I know. That's a scary position to be in as a leader.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, when I was talking about, I'm not, you know, I'm very new to being a 7-figure CEO. It's like learning even those things, like having to lead other people. Oh, it's so much pressure you get on the team meeting. And I'm like, I hope they have something to talk about. Yeah. I ain't got nothing to talk about.
Yeah. I don't be having anything to talk about. So we have a weekly team meeting every single week.
Yes.
And I told Kyle, like, listen, this is your thing. You run it. Y'all talk. What we do on a team meeting, what I do like to do is start off with a win. So just give me a win that you've had in business. Even in your personal life, just give me something positive. Every single call, just getting in the habit of celebrating big wins or small wins. Yeah. And then obviously it's the do you need anything from me? I just learned, I don't know who I learned this from, but I just heard yesterday, in fact, that I read it somewhere that on your team meetings, you should actually be the last person to speak.
Oh, I like that.
I like it too. I like it very much. So get on, and in my mind now, if we're doing these perfect team meetings, you get on and you welcome everybody because I kind of want that family feel. Yeah. But that family feel has also been very dangerous.
That is dangerous.
It is dangerous.
I think maybe a welcoming feel.
Welcoming
more than
feel.
The family. Yeah.
A welcoming feel. I like the way you put that. So we get on these team calls now and we welcome our team. Hey, everybody, like blah, 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 blah. And then you pass it off to whoever the team call leader is, right? Yeah. And then you hear everybody's feedback. Yeah. And this works if you have like KPI reports, right? Yeah. Where you're measuring and monitoring performance. So every department has their metrics that they need to monitor. Yep. And those reports are filled out in advance. That's kind of what we're moving toward now. Okay. Where the metrics are filled out in advance and the team call is more of a review. It's either a celebration of the goal being hit, of the target being hit, or it's a question about why we fell short. Yeah. And then I come in where I need to come in. Yeah. Right? But if I'm being totally honest, in full transparency, I be skipping the heck out of my team meetings.
How do you skip your team meetings?
I be like, how you got it today? Because again, this is the danger of automation.
Having your systems be
so good. Like nothing comes up. We may have a customer service issue, you know, that has already been resolved. It's just being brought to the table. So nothing comes up, but I'm also in the stage now, like we've just added the podcast, this podcast to, what is it? It's not my offers, but it's been added to the business model. Yeah. So there will be conversation that needs to happen around it. Yeah. And I have different partnerships that are happening. I don't ever run into the top of the year like going super crazy hard. Yeah. I like to ease into the year, kind of get it. You know, I like to be steady. Yeah. I don't really like, I don't like the pressure. It's not my preference to build my business under the pressure. Like some people build their business knowing that January is going to be a big month. And then they build for Black Friday and then they build for Christmas. I'd prefer like just a steady and consistent flow all year. Gotcha. I think that's sustainable business.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think every business is different. Like we know our Q1 is usually just our best because of Impact Weekend. And then the steady, it kind of brings that security and comfort as well. So I think it just really depends what your preference is. Like you can build your business any way you want and be successful. Yeah. But you know, it's actually a good thing that you're not that involved on the team meetings because it's like, isn't that the point though?
That is the point. So the ultimate goal of a CEO is to replace yourself, right?
100%.
The ultimate goal is to replace yourself. But, you know, and again, we're first generation everything. Yeah, really.
We're figuring it out.
We're figuring it out. So I want to duplicate myself, but I'm not yet at the place where I want to replace myself. Like I still want my ear to the streets. I still want to know what's going on. Like when things happen in my company and I have to like hear other people talking about it, I'd be like, why didn't I know?
Yeah.
Why didn't anybody fill me in?
Right.
I feel away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to a point where I was like, if anybody wants to buy me out, I will be the COO of my company. Somebody else can step in and be the CEO.
Would you? Right
Probably.
now, today.
I don't know. I'm still on the fence about it. But I will say it's not because I don't love my company. The CEO is usually the person that sets the vision.
Sure.
Right? And then the COO is the person that ensures that the vision comes to fruition. Yes. They integrate, they do the work. I'm going to make sure it gets done. It drives me crazy when deadlines aren't met, when things aren't getting done. And I am not that great at vision. So it's a little bit challenging. I just want you tell me what you want done and I can create a system to make it happen.
Yeah. I'm a bit of both. So obviously we both were at Traction.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you usually have a person who operates either as a CEO or a COO, but I think the number is like 13% of business owners can kind of fit in that group of both. And I do very, very well at both. The thing is, I'm such a visionary that I can often get overwhelmed sometimes with acting as an integrator or as an operator to get these things done. Yeah. And so I have like in my phone this list of all these visions that I've seen and I've thought through. Yeah. But it's not getting done because I'm doing so much. I'm taking on so much and I have to be careful of that. That's one of the things that I'm really being careful about this year. Yeah. Is kind of easing like this podcast. For those of you who are watching, this is like 6 months in the making of David saying, do the podcast. And I'm like, oh, okay, next week and next week and next week. And I literally came into the studio to film regular content. Yeah. And my videographer, shout out to Ryan. He said, we're going to film your podcast today. You look nice. And I'm like, we're not though. And he's like, but we are. And then the next thing I know, they were breaking down the set and putting things up. And so that's like that. If my assistant operated at that level, we'd probably get more done. Right. I don't have anybody on my team yet that, and it's probably because I don't micromanage my team, but I don't have anybody on my team yet that's like, no, Donnie, get it done. Yeah. Like that's comfortable saying, I know you're the boss,
give
but
them permission.
Get it done. I'm giving somebody permission.
Give them permission. They're probably scared.
You think?
Probably.
You think?
Just give them permission.
Do you have anybody on your team that's like, no, Maya, this has to get done today? Like I need to sit you down right now and get this done.
Sometimes my assistant is like that. But I usually tell my team like, hey, remind me in 2 days, we'll get it done or whatever. And sometimes they don't have to because, again, I'm the integrator side. I don't get lost in the vision. But there are some times where my assistant will come in the office and be like, hey, you got all these bills or you have all this mail or whatever. It's like, we're getting it done right now. So that is helpful. I think that's why I like having the in-person assistant that's like literally in my house.
So that is a big transition that I made this year. So my assistant that I've recently hired has to work with me in person. Yeah. But I've also, one step further than that, I've made the decision that my team just has to be in person. Like by summer this year, one of my goals is to have my whole team working in-house. Yeah. I'm on the fence about the sales team, but I just think back to like corporate America and what I did at a very high level as an executive in corporate America. Like I remember walking into the office and you could feel the pulse of the company because you're walking into that environment. Yeah. You can say, hey guys, let's huddle up real quick. Let's have a meeting. Yeah. And the energy is just so different than meeting with people on Zoom. Yeah. And I think that's a struggle for me. I think I know I need the energy. Yeah. And I have been working so hard over the last 2 years since, all the shutdown and stuff to duplicate and recreate that energy virtually. Yeah. And it's just not happening.
Yeah. Was it you that I was talking to where we were talking about like team members being on Zoom with their video off? And we're like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
What's happening?
Why are we off? And the thing is, like, what I struggle with is repeating myself. And so I've already said, hey, like, I feel like we only meet once a week. Yeah. Put the camera on. Like,
it's 1 hour.
It's 1 hour. Yeah. 1 day a week, right? Yeah. And again, I but at the same time, I think about when I'm building my team, and things are just becoming clearer and clearer for me.
Yeah.
When I am building my team, I try to think about, and creating my company policies and everything.
Yeah.
I try to think about what parts of corporate America I just hate it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that in my company.
Right.
But as I am doing that, I'm beginning to understand why certain things were in place.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's funny because, you know, there's obviously some toxicity in corporate America. But when I tell you the best employees are the ones who have endured that toxicity, I'm like, there's something right is going on over there.
Something right is going on. There will, in my experience, there's only a very small percentage of people who you will interview and hire that will do a phenomenal job if they have no corporate experience whatsoever. Yeah. And typically it's because that person is probably of the entrepreneur mindset.
Yeah.
And I also made the decision this year that I'm not hiring any more entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I struggled with that. Hey, are you a service-based entrepreneur that helps your clients or customers get some type of result, but you're struggling to post and communicate your message on social media? You don't know how to type a caption that connects and gets people's attention and converts them from just someone who's following you on social to becoming your customer or your client? Great news is that's my superpower. So I'm sending you 3 text messages every single day, excluding major holidays, directly to your phone of exactly what you need to post to get people to buy and convert them into clients and customers. All you have to do is join my program, Post to Paid, and you can do so by texting the words Post to Paid to 404-737-2767. And the best news is just $37 a month. So hurry up, send me the text. I'm looking for it now.
But it's hard because some people will also say that they're not interested in it, but then they're inspired by us.
They're inspired by you. Yeah. And so have you ever worked in corporate?
No. Well, I was like an intern one time.
An intern one time. I was like an intern one time. Girl, I worked, okay? I worked in corporate. I was like an intern one time. You people make me sick, okay?
I love it.
All right. That's probably why you're all soft life over there, because your girl was working hard.
Right, yeah.
Your girl was working hard. So I worked, I believe I started working at 15 years old, maybe at Six Flags or Learners in the mall. One of them were my first job. But I worked all the way into my 30s, late 30s. Or mid 30s. And what I have learned is people hate their jobs. Like there are some people who love and adore their jobs. People hate their jobs. And it is really important to me to create an environment like if I feel like you don't love your job, I don't want you on my team.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want people to love what they're doing.
You have to love what you're doing. But when when you were saying that they start to develop a relationship and they get close and they see what you're doing and they're inspired, I think about every corporate job that I've had, and there was only one job that I got to talk to like the owner, the actual founder owner.
Yeah.
I was always a leader in the company who reported to a leader.
Yeah.
But the actual owner, like you very infrequently see the owner. And I can remember he was a developer and of this project, this property management project that I was selling. And I will say that working with him, and I engaged with him weekly, he would fly in to our office every single week for numbers and updates and team meetings. He'd fly in, and I remember looking at him like, I wanted to be just like him. oh wow, this is so cool. I want to do this. Like he would fly in with his dog and his small son at the time, and he'd land his helicopter on the helipad on the top of the building. And they'd be just making a stop for the team meeting real quick before they were heading over like to Hawaii to vacation. And I'm like, I want that life.
Yeah.
But when I think about any of my just supervisors and managers, I never desired to live their lives. So I get it, right?
Yeah.
And now we have to, but it also explains why there is so much separation between staff and owner.
Yeah.
And again, we don't have a manual for this.
Because did you feel like you wanted that life before seeing it?
So I knew always that I wanted a life of significance. Yeah. I knew that I wanted a luxurious life, But I didn't know that life looked like that.
Right.
Before
And
I
then
saw
you got
it.
to see it every single
And
week.
then I got to see it every week. And I'm like, this is fly.
I know,
This
right?
is super fly. Like, you're either flying private and landing at the private airport, or you're landing, like if you're in a rush, you're landing on the helipad up top.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is sexy. And for me at that time as a young mom, it really made a significant difference to me too, because, you know, I was that person who had to ask permission to like attend my daughter's important school moments. And I knew early on that was a problem.
Yeah.
So when I saw, but I didn't know what the picture of success in terms of being a parent and a boss and a leisure woman looked like, right?
Yeah.
And it was through him that I was like, oh, this is fly.
Yeah, because he had his kid and the dog.
He had his kid and the dog.
Yeah.
All y'all were on that helicopter?
Right. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Did you ever want that for like anybody on your team? Because I remember one of my clients saying, because I feel like I've kind of wanted this as well. Like I've wanted my team to like, you know, dabble in entrepreneurship. Like you're not going to be the boss, but you're going to be the boss of your department or your role or whatever, which I do think is healthy. But I remember one of my clients saying like, you know, she wanted her assistant to have like more freedom and all of that stuff. And I'm like, I get it, because that's your natural thing. That's what you teach women, soft life, manifest, have all those things. And I'm like, we do have to be very cognizant of how we communicate that with our team, because I'm like, at the same time, your team or your assistant, they're not making the same sacrifices, and they don't have to take the same risks as you do as the CEO and as the entrepreneur.
So, you know what's interesting when you're talking about sacrifice and risk? I have to make this post, and I'm going to make it today, but I hired David Shanz's assistant, Kaylin. She's great. But I went through like 40 applications. And then I went through a season of hiring my own assistant before I hired somebody who was right there all along. And I was just thinking, I had the most random thought in the shower this morning, that employees today want to be paid like CEOs. There's a problem. So I looked at some of the salary. You know, you ask, what's your salary requirements? And on those, for a personal assistant, people were saying things like $250,000, $90,000 even. And I said, well, am I so out of touch with salary, like what's standard in the world of salaries today, that
right? But
what makes you think that this is okay? And you're like, had never been an assistant before. Maybe you had a job somewhere or whatever. We got to really be careful. So I know that David and I before have been really guilty of paying our team like they're entrepreneurs.
Oh my gosh, the overpaying.
That's
one of the things. Yeah. You know, learning that as a 7-figure CEO and as a new leader, you want to make people feel like they're valued. Yeah. And you do that through overpaying. I've definitely done it.
Yeah. You overpay, but it's really important that we don't do that. And I hate saying it out loud. Yeah. So when I owned a clothing store, I owned some clothing stores like 2010 to 2012. Yep. And initially I had a business partner, so we always worked together, but then she separated from the company and I had to hire. And I remember hiring people who worked in my store because I still had a full-time job. So I was working a full-time job while owning these stores, because this is coming on the back end of that moment where I lost everything. Yep. So I was afraid of one income. And at that time, to me, protecting my income meant having my business and having a job, right? Yeah. I was still in that mindset. So anyway, I started to hire people, and I would tell them, do you have a desire? I would ask them, do you have a desire to be an entrepreneur? Because it's really important that if you're working for me, that you have these goals and this big vision and you want to be your own boss one day. Yeah, yeah. Turnover was insane because they would come and they would see this young Black woman who's successfully running this business and holding it down, and they immediately want it for themselves. And they are there for 3 months before they know all my vendors. They know how to do X, Y, and Z. They know all my processes, and they're out. Yeah, yeah. So you're in this place. I advocate for entrepreneurship so much, but I need some employees to build my team.
Right. I know, it's such an interesting balance. And I think, like, you know, there's also responsibility for us because, I don't know if when I say us, I don't mean me and you, but also like entrepreneurs and CEOs, the same way that there are some employees that want to get paid like the CEO, there are some bosses that want the employees to work as hard as the CEO.
Yeah.
And it's like, where is that balance of like, I need you to work hard, I need you to be committed.
See, you've never worked in corporate America at a high level, at any level really, but especially at a high level. And the overall feeling, the reason why so many people who are in corporate America desire to be their own boss is because you're often in an environment where you feel like you're doing all the work.
Yeah.
And you also feel smarter than and more qualified than your superiors.
Yeah.
So that said, like, that's what happens. I mean, that just kind of is like either you operate at a high level or you don't.
Yeah.
Right.
I need to find some people that worked in corporate America.
That or an option is also to train, a younger person.
Yeah.
Yeah. The option is to train a younger person. Like, I think what we've done is created this space of flexibility, freedom, and lifestyle that everybody desires it now. It's like the movie that's being played all over social media.
Yeah.
And I think people have irresponsibly been made to believe or feel like having a job is a negative thing.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with working.
Right. 100%.
And just for clarity, my thought process is like, I'm an advocate of entrepreneurship and prioritizing entrepreneurship for people who feel it in their soul that they deserve more or want more or desire more.
Yeah.
But if you belong on somebody's job, everybody ain't cut out for entrepreneurship.
Right. Or it might just not be the season for it.
Might not be the season.
There's, I haven't worked corporate, but I know that there's so much that I would have learned had I worked corporate. I had to figure a lot of things out because I didn't know how to run a business, what employees should even be doing. I didn't even know like what paychecks were supposed to look like, how benefits worked, none of those things because I did not work in corporate.
Do you offer benefits to your team now?
Now I don't. When I had a full-time employee that I did because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And it's like, girl, your company makes a little over $1 million. Like, what are you going to benefits for? Yeah. So it's like, I didn't know.
Did it take, like, when you made $1 million, did you like say to yourself, where in the hell is the money?
No, because that year it was really profitable.
Okay.
The first year and second year was really profitable.
That's true. My first year at 7 figures was extremely profitable. Actually, every year was profitable. But what happens is because your years are profitable or your business is profitable, you start now thinking about all of these opportunities for expansion and development, right? And growth. And so you sit down and you start putting the budget together and you're like, I'm going to hire this person and I'm going to do that. And we're going to expand here. We're going to have our offices here and all the bright lights. And then you're like, oh, the $1 million don't go as far
as I thought. Yeah.
As I thought.
Yeah. It's just crazy. Like, I would think that having more people meant I was going to make more money. And that's not how the math worked out for me.
The math didn't math that way?
The math, unfortunately, was not mathing.
So who do you have? What positions do you have on your team right now?
Yeah, so I have my programs manager who is really like my right hand. She's amazing. She's really, really solid. And she helps me to run the programs, which of course is the most important part because that's our bread and butter. And she helps with Impact Weekend as well. And then I have a virtual assistant who helps with the operations. Okay. Formerly that position was operations manager, but I think it just needs to be a VA for right now. And then I have another virtual assistant who is really, really good at the tech stuff and working in our CRM, setting up the landing pages, all of that. I would say actually those are the 4 like most consistent people. And then of course I had my coaches, but when we stopped doing the coaching programs, they're like on and off whenever we have the programs or whenever we have Impact Weekend. Okay. And then my content manager who runs my social and comes up with all of the content ideas for Built to Impact.
That is the number one area that I have struggled in my business is delegating someone to run my social media.
It's challenging.
I'm so in it. And it's also super challenging for me because I'm so good at it.
Yeah.
I'm really, really great. I know my angles. I know what my audience wants to see.
Yeah.
And I write the hell out of some captions. Right.
Yeah.
And so nobody ever does it like me.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it like me, then you just can't do it in that area specifically, because so much of my business relies on that. Right.
Yeah.
I struggle in that area so much.
Yeah. And she runs the business account. She doesn't run my personal. But I think that is challenging, like, especially if you're somebody who's good at messaging, which you are, and you're good at connecting with your audience, which you are. It makes it challenging because sometimes you hire these social media managers and it's like, this caption is so generic. Nobody talks like this.
Nobody talks
like this. So you really do have to have somebody that just gets it.
Yeah, for sure.
Just gets it.
Yeah, for sure. Where are you struggling most in your business right now?
Let's see. Where am I struggling most in business? I would say, I don't know if I would position it as struggling, but I would say just looking forward to getting the programs back up, because it's like, we're not getting clients because we haven't opened up spots for clients. So that's definitely something that we need to get on the ball with. It's like, well, we sold all the tickets for Impact Weekend, so we need additional revenue, which would be our coaching programs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any concerns or worries, like in terms of hitting your target? Is there anything that you're like going to bed at night, you're thinking about, like, I don't know?
Oh, about hitting the 5 million? I don't have concerns, but it doesn't mean that I have it all the way figured out. But I generally don't concern myself about money, like around money. I don't usually get stressed about money. I've never, like, I think there's some people who have like trauma around money because maybe they've experienced, like, you know, poverty.
Me?
Yeah.
Girl.
I, by the grace of God, haven't experienced that. So it's not a common fear.
Put the camera on me real quick. Once again, I hate you people. No, I'm just playing. I have never experienced poverty.
Oh my gosh.
The cool thing is, though, that I'm glad that you haven't, because so many people will connect with that. There are so many people who have not, and they don't know what their voice is in this generation of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Because everybody's story is connected to some type of hardship or struggle. It's getting it out of the mud for everybody. Yeah. And so they're trying to create this out of the mud story, you know, when their parents were driving foreign cars, when, you know, like it's not the same.
Yeah.
It is not the same.
Yeah. I got it out the suburbs, guys.
You got it out the
suburbs. Got it out the suburbs. Yeah. I mean, I'm very, very fortunate. You know, my parents are immigrants, so I got to see them work hard. But, you know, by the grace of God, I've never, you know, lacked for any of my needs. So, and money, I love money and I think it's great. And I want to make a lot of it because it buys me freedom and it gets me all the things that I like. But, it's not the thing that really gets me super excited. So I don't think that I go to sleep like, oh my gosh. I think that, you know, I have had some feelings of anxiety around business to make sure that my team was happy, to, of course, make sure I had enough money to consistently pay them. I've had anxiety around, like, are my clients pleased?
Yeah.
Am I doing the right thing in business? And I think that's the people pleaser side of me. But I don't have that right now because we don't have a bunch of clients because the programs are closed.
Can I ask you a question that I know I hate it most? You might not.
Okay.
I want to see her face when I answer, if you'll put it on.
Oh, gosh.
Both of us. Why somebody as pretty and smart as you single?
Literally, I'm going to throw my shoe at all of these cameras.
But isn't that what they say, girl? Why are you so pretty and single?
What does that even mean?
What does it mean?
What?
But I want to know, though. Because I never know how to answer that question. I get so annoyed by that freaking question. Like,
oh my God.
I get so annoyed, but I'm looking at you and I'm listening to you and I'm just like, I want to get Maya married.
Oh my gosh. You know, one thing that I've
Is it your
learned.
Goal?
Yeah, I definitely want to be married. Cool. Yeah.
All right. So one thing that you've learned?
I've learned, I think I do a way better job at this, that I would treat my relationships like business.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, because it just makes sense. My business is working. Like, why would I not, you know, transfer these same habits and actions over to relationships? But I mean, that's such a loaded question. I've definitely learned a lot about myself. I'm 32 now, and I think I've spent the majority of my 20s wanting to be chosen, like wanting to be married, be in a relationship. And now in my 30s, I still desire that for sure, but I have way less desperation for it. And, you know, having a desire versus having a desperation, it's completely different.
Very different.
And I always say, like, desperation causes you to lose your discernment.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I would just date anybody. Like, can you give me babies? Do you have a job? What's your credit score? And do you believe that, you know, Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior? That's pretty much
bare
it.
minimum. Like, the bare minimum.
So bare minimum.
There has been a point where the bar was just so low.
Oh my gosh.
The bar was just so freaking low.
Yeah.
And now and even as an accomplished woman, like, the bar could still be low at periods of time. So I think what I've learned in my journey of dating and my on again and off again situations and just life in general is you got to love yourself so much. Yeah. And people hate, like, I used to hate, somebody told me that before, like, you need to love yourself more. When you ask questions, you know, you start to wonder. I've never really experienced the is there something wrong with me phase, because my story is a little different. My daughter's father and I were engaged to be married, and we ended up calling that wedding off. And maybe 2 or 3 years later, he got married. And my daughter took it so hard. She was 10 years old when he got married, and she took it so hard. She was so fine with him dating. In the beginning, it was a little rocky, but she grew over the years to just be really okay with him dating. Yeah. But the night before his wedding, she lost her shit. Like, Mommy, I never knew that she was secretly hoping that we would get back together until the night before his wedding. And she just had such a major breakdown. And that night, I promised and assured her that I asked her why, what do you want, what's missing? And she's just like, I just want our family. If this new person moves in here, it's going to be about them. It's not going to be about me anymore. It's not just me and Daddy. And so at that night, I just assured her, you will never feel like that. Daddy is always going to be like, you're always going to be Daddy's priority. And over here in our house, it's always going to be me and you. Yeah. So I spent much of my 20s and my very early 30s prioritizing my daughter, not wanting her to, I thought I was doing a really good thing. I did not want her to see her mom just dating out in these streets. I didn't want her to see men coming in and out of my house. She's never seen that her whole life. She's never seen that. I did not want her, because I was so confused after that breakup with her father. I didn't know what kind of man that I wanted. And I was becoming a different woman. Yeah. I was growing. Remember, we broke up. I lost everything maybe a year later. And now I'm into entrepreneurship. And I'm becoming a woman that I don't know who I am. So if I don't know who I am, I don't know who I want or what I want. And I didn't want to take her through that journey. And then as time would have it, social media just started to really grow and take off. And it became like our news outlet, right? And so what started happening for me as she started to get older, my daughter is gorgeous, right? And as she started to get older and develop, I started to see these stories on social media of women bringing boyfriends around their daughters and awful things happening. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm not doing that. Yeah. And so now there's more time that I don't want to bring men around my daughter. Now, I was dating and I was seeing people, but it was very part-time. It was on the days that she was going to her dad's house. And, you can't come to my house. And men, especially when you have a child, they're very skeptical about you saying you can't come to my house. So they're thinking, oh, you must still be sliding with your baby daddy and all of this stuff. And none of that was happening. I seriously, these are my rules. These are my boundaries. And it didn't work for most people. And I didn't care more about it working for them than I did about it working for my daughter. So I spent all that time being very unavailable, like desiring companionship, but emotionally and mentally just understanding this self-imposed boundary that I had put in place.
Yeah.
And so then when I finally started to prioritize relationship, honestly, there was a moment like 2016, 2017 that I was really like, okay, I've proven to myself that I can do these things.
Yeah.
My daughter now is preparing to go to college. Maybe I should start like really getting out there. So by the time she goes to college, I got me a man, right? Because your kids get older, and ladies, don't do what I did. Like date, but date responsibly. Your kids get older, they get their own life, and your little best friend now becomes little Miss Distant. And so then I just kind of went through this period like, dang, she got her own life. I don't have a man. I hadn't really dated seriously and with intention enough to even know what I want. So it started over for me in self-discovery.
Yeah.
Like, what do I really want in a relationship? But what also happens is you create, and I want you to be very conscious of this, you create this happiness being by yourself.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You create this happiness of being by yourself where it almost is like, I am not one of those men who don't, I'm not one of those women who don't need a man. I very much desire marriage, right? But there still is this space where it's like, you know what? I have discovered happiness all by myself.
Yeah.
I have discovered happiness, and someone now has to come in and literally compliment my life, right? Yeah. Somebody now has to come in and literally make it a space where I am happier with them than I was by myself.
1,000,000,000,000%.
And you start to learn this, and then you're now this independent woman because you hadn't had a choice. This whole time, you're like, I got to create a life. I'm never going to foreclose on my house again. I'm never going to get these cars repossessed again. I'm never going to be broke again. But because I'm not in a mindset of dating, I have to do these things on my own.
Yeah.
So now people have to approach me differently and bring something different to the table. And it's not that I don't desire it. It's just certain things that, let me say this too, Maya. There's a whole lot of good men out here. There are. So this whole like story of, especially we live in Atlanta and, you know, they don't want you and all of this shit's not true. Yeah. It just isn't. Every single day, like there's guys, and, you know, everybody knows that I've been, you know, in a relationship and, you know, just trying to figure that out. Yeah. And it's fine. But every single day, and these are not men who just want to take you out or sleep with you. I don't know what your experience is, but there are so many amazing women and there are so many great men that finding the man isn't the issue. Yeah. That's not necessarily the issue. I needed to grow and become the type of woman that was really clear on what I wanted, because I am a one and done type of woman. If we're committed, we're committed. Yeah. I'm fighting for this relationship. I am here with you. You know, we're through the, and it has to be a situation that I want to do all that for. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's so much to unpack for sure. But I definitely agree with, you know, when you build this life as a single person, it's easy to get comfortable in it for sure. Because you're like, well, if you come into my space, this is how I do things. And it's like, when it's two people, there has to be some level of compromise without devaluing your standards. And I think people need to understand what compromise looks like for you. Like compromise is not being like hard and tough and rigid and super difficult. You have to understand like, and who's worth compromising some things for. But yeah, I mean, relationships are definitely, you know, they're really interesting. In my case, I wasn't in a situation where I had to figure things out for myself, but it was like, I'm in my 20s, like I'm going to pay my bills. I was annoyed with apartment living. I bought my house. I buy my car. I'm an adult. I'm going to do adult things. These are not things like, oh, I'm going to wait around for a husband to get a house. Like, no, I'm a human being who's an adult who needs to live somewhere. So I'm going to purchase my home. But let the internet tell it. I literally saw one of these relationship gurus say, ladies, if you are single, don't buy your own house. Yeah, I've seen that. And it's like, just get out of here with that broke energy. Like, I'm not doing that. If you can't, just say that. Just raise your hand. Just say that. Just say that. Right. If you want to go half with me, just say that. If you want to split bills 50-50, just say that. If you don't understand that we could rent this whole thing out and we can move into something fabulous together, just say that with that broken energy. I just cannot. It drives me nuts.
These gurus are just...
These gurus.
And don't have nobody's wife, though.
Or don't be nobody's faithful man.
That part. So let's just be mindful of who we're listening to on the internet.
Let's be mindful. You know, the easiest business to start right now is in the relationship and dating space. Because there are so many people who are emotionally unstable and desperate in that space that they're willing to listen to anything and everything. And that's kind of like, I never wanted to be that person, but, you know, because of what I thought was the right thing to do for my daughter early on, I learned very late. And even just recently, I discovered, like, who do you want to be as a wife? Mm-hmm. We make all of these lists and, you know, determinations about what we want in a husband. Yeah. That few people actually say, well, this is who I desire to be as a wife. Mm-hmm. And then when you start becoming her, as I've learned, you will attract that guy. Trust me. Yeah. You will start to attract those men who want a woman like you. Yeah. But when you're just kind of out here living life and you really hadn't gotten clear on that, right, it'll be really difficult. Oh, yeah. I think, at least in my experience, to find what you're looking for.
I think if you're out here just winging it, like, how can you attract what you desire if you're not clear on what you desire? Yeah. And if you're wanting a husband or a partner, you do have to be clear on the type of partner that you want to be, because you're wanting a marriage or you're wanting a partnership. Yeah. And that takes two people. So having half of a desire is not, you know, a clear desire. Yeah. You have to be clear on that to attract it.
You have to be super clear. Every time I get with you, I just feel like we can talk and go on and on and on. Yeah. This is like our thing. And y'all, Maya and I say every single time, well, I guess we kept it this time. This counts. We say once a month, we're going to do something. Yeah. We're going to get together once a month.
We're always out of town.
We are always out of town. Yeah. We're always out of town. We're always, you know, doing something. I guess for you, it hasn't been work.
It hasn't been work. I'm getting back into it though, guys. I'm getting back to work.
It hasn't been work. What's your big thing this year? What do you have to get done? And I'm not talking about the revenue goal. Yeah. But what do you see for yourself and it just has to happen this year?
What has to happen is, I would say, getting in amazing shape. I love looking good. Like, it's vain, it's whatever. Okay. A lot of people be like, oh, I work out for my health and all of that. Yeah. Like, yeah, I'm so grateful for health, but I gotta look good. Yeah. You think I'm going to the trainer for him to abuse me, for me to not look good at the end of it? Girl. Right. So getting in really great shape and being very clear and honest about the type of offers that I do want in my business and selling them. Like, I think you were saying, you know, at the beginning of this episode, that you were starting to do things because of what the internet was saying. It's scalable. It's not scalable. It's whatever. And it's like, I'm going to listen to my voice. Yep. Whatever feels really great for me in my business is what I want to do.
Yeah. No personal goals this year? Nothing that has to happen for you?
Oh my gosh. Girl, what are you trying to
get the transparency
full
out
transparency.
Of you. No personal
goals. There's nothing that has to happen, because I can't really force. What I've realized is I can't really force things fully with relationship. I think that was my issue. I used to try to control things with relationship, and it's like, again, there's two people. You can only control what you do. So there's nothing. I'll be back for another episode.
We'll do a part 2 in a few months.
We'll do a part 2
and get really clear there. Yes. And then y'all, what's going to happen is we're going to go to lunch or dinner, and I'm going to get the real story. Yeah. And you're going to get the real story from me.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Because everything can't be put out there for the world to see. But Maya, it has been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me real quick before we go, how do you help entrepreneurs in your space?
So I help entrepreneurs by helping them get very clear on their messaging and communicating their value to their ideal client, and then packaging that expertise into an offer. So usually a coaching program or an online course.
Yeah. And who's qualified to work with you?
The people who are qualified to work with me, you have had a minimum of 5 years of experience within your space. You have to be an expert. You have to be really confident that you're good at your thing, but you just need help with the marketing, and you have to want to make at least $10,000 a month.
That's good stuff. So for clarity, Maya does not work with beginners, but I believe there's going to be some information in this video to figure out how to work with her. But how do we follow you right now?
Yep. So you can follow me at Maya Elious, Mayaelious. I always spell it out because people think it's Myalicious sometimes.
I did for so many years.
So many people say that.
I thought it was Myalicious.
Yeah. But it's just Maya Elious. Just simple.
I used to be like, Myalicious. That's cute.
Right.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, this has been another incredible episode of Full Transparency with Donni Wiggins. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in. Be sure to look in the description because I want to work with you. If you are an entrepreneur and you are looking for clarity in your concept, you want to start, grow, or scale your business, check the links in the description below so you can figure out which lane you fit in and how it would be best for us to work together. And make sure you stay tuned for next week's episode. See you later.